I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know where to begin. So it's been a few days since Hysilens did release, and I've already had a roller coaster of emotions with the story chapter, with her kit, whether if I was gonna get her, and so on. So that is what I'm here with, my first impressions for Hysilens. So, like usual, let's first go over the whole, beta cycle and such when we did, learn how she was gonna work. So, she got drip marketed, and her design made me feel a way I cannot even imagine. If you want to call it horny, if you want to call it, I just really love her design, I don't know. I really cannot explain. I'm not really someone, you guys probably know this by now, but I'm not really someone that summons out of horniness. I know a lot of people that do, and it's fair. Like, you really like the character design, you're gonna pull for them because they're hot, it is what it is. I've only really had one case ever, and that was with Linksha. Look, they look kind of similar. I think I'm seeing that I have a type, guys. So again, I really never do that. But her design, when she got drip marketed, I was like, my god, dude. If she ends up being not, I'm gonna be so sad. Well, we had a feeling with all the divergent stuff, with all the info going around, so the beta cycle starts, and we do see she's a dog character. And another bit of backstory about me. A lot of people probably already know this by now, but a good amount of people that are watching this probably don't. But I really hate Dot. I was never a Dot fan. Quick rundown on why I actually have an E0S1 Kafka and an E1S1 Black Swan was practically 1.6 when Kafka reran, and then 2.0 when Black Swan's first banner did happen. I was still someone who was influenced by FOMO. Like, this is before I was super big into the game. This is kind of like, oh damn, Dot is doing all this and that and this and that. So I got the team, and I had no fun with it. It was extremely boring to me. I really never even liked the characters that much. Like, I don't really care for Kafka. Black Swan, I don't hate, but I don't really like her either. She's kind of indifferent for me. The reason I got E1 was because I was summoning for Gwynaifen on the banners, so that was another reason. I regretted it because I much rather have had an E2 Dana who was rerunning at the time. I wish I got that instead. But yeah, the only reason I also have E1 outside of summoning for Gwynaifen for Black Swan was the fact that what it does, really, there was any setup you could do back then because the game was, a lot more freedom-like. You could use a lot more than you wanted to. And there was setups of using E1 Black Swan with Blade, and Blade was practically my biggest main outside of Zele at the time. Blade was my most used character, so the fact you could have that corresponding res lower being win in this case would help him. I was like, yeah, screw it, bro, why not? Worst mistake of my life. Again, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm a changed man now, so I'm not ever doing that again. But yeah, pretty much I found the Dot playstyle extremely boring. I hated just being like, oh, you can only really proc it in one or two ways. Oh, you have to wait for the enemies to act. Like, okay, by the time you acted, I could have done like a bajillion times more damage with any other team. And then Dot fell off like really shortly after, so I was like, okay, what did I do this for? So yeah, I was really just never the biggest fan of Dot. I always never liked it that much, never really cared about the characters. But yeah, that's a bit about that. So Hysilens, we did see she was going to be a Dot character. I expected it, and I was kind of sad because I really wanted to get her off design alone. I don't ever really get a character off design alone. Well, I guess this whole update was like that. I was going to get Sarita and Hysilens off design alone, but the thing is, Sarita was a character I could use, while Hysilens would be on a team I didn't really like. So that was kind of sad. It was mostly going to be, I'm probably going to skip Hysilens. Maybe I'll throw a few singles at her, or maybe like a few multis, build pity up to a certain amount, and then I'll use the rest on actually just Saridra. Because again, she was going to be broken for Dot. With the Kafka buffs especially, she was going to revive the entire team. Yes, it's going to be strong, but I really don't think it was going to fix the whole core playstyle for me. The whole satisfying thing for most people with Dot was just seeing a bunch of like the numbers and colored numbers going on, but you can't really see too much on the optimal teams before Hysilens, as really you just saw Shock and Wind Shear. But then Hysilens changed that with being able to add every single type, where now you can actually see every different one, and it's really funny. But yeah, again, her whole thing was she was going to be insane for Dot. She didn't really get too many changes. She mainly just got, buffs that made her better. They kind of moved stuff to her base kit. She was made really, really good, and her early investment was made insane. So yeah, it was pretty safe to say the team was back, but, I really didn't think I would really like the team even if I got her. And there was also the chance that I wouldn't really care about her in the story. So we do fast forward to the release of Hysilens, and I already have tested her enough. Like, my Dot characters didn't have relics. I had to use a different, server thing where I had to make the relics and then test out all that stuff. That's how I got my first impressions, and it was really strong. I didn't really think too much of it because I mainly was testing Saridra, because obviously I'm a big Fine on an Anoxa guy, so obviously I was testing Saridra infinitely more. But yeah, we will get to the actual release of Hysilens. I throw my 5 multis on her, get the 70 pity, didn't get anything. I'm like, it is what it is, I guess. But again, I was just fiending. I'm like, damn, I really want to summon. I don't know what it is, guys. Just her design made me feel ways I cannot describe. I have never been more down bad for a character since, again, Linksha. Linksha was the last time I did this, but this case was even more. because I just like Hysilens' design even more. But the thing with Linksha was, even in her story, or like when she was released, she didn't really do much, to be fair. So I didn't really have a reason to go past, just getting her Lycon. But at least the thing is, Linksha was a sustain, so I had more of a reason to get her. Hysilens was just on a team that I really didn't like. But yeah, so I ended up doing the story about the next day, I think, because I was really tired when the update did come out. I finished the Hysilens guide and then I went to sleep right after. So while waiting for the next beta cycle for the other characters, I was doing the story, and I didn't really have the greatest first impressions on her. I was hoping I'd like Saridra a lot to become one of my favorite characters, but we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, doing the story, I didn't really have a great first impression of either of them, and it was kind of like a jumping up and down, but overall, I ended up liking Hysilens more than Saridra. I didn't really end up caring for Saridra except for a few parts. And then they literally had the audacity to show, like, Hysilens in a bath or something, and then talking in those kind of ways. Have her first introduction where she, like, zips to your face and tells you to shush. And I'm like, you can't do this to me. You can't do this to me, man. So, the entire thing, I'm gonna show you guys some tweets I did. I'm gonna censor the name because this is my personal account. But yeah, as you see, I was literally just posting these things. I'm like, just God, please, I'm not your strongest soldier. Let me live, man. But then, by the time I finished the story, I did end up liking Hysilens a lot. She's not my favorite Crisis Hair, but I definitely ended up liking her a lot more than Saridra. Saridra, unfortunately, became one of the characters of the Crisis Hairs. The first Crisis Hairs that I really don't care about. Hysilens would probably rank like maybe 5th to 6th-ish, probably more 6th, because my top 3 is going to be Undisputed, Anaxa, then Finon, then Mide, and then the next slot is usually just between Aglia and Tribi. Those two are usually like my favorites after them. Hysilens probably goes right below them, but not too far off. If we did get more in that story, because this story was a lot shorter compared to the other ones, if they did more and if they do more, maybe she'll end up going up, but I really feel like she didn't really get too much. Like, there wasn't too much going on. Well, there wasn't too much going on. There was a lot going on, but they didn't really get, like, too much as opposed to other characters. Like, everyone else had a lot. Even, to be fair, Anaxa didn't really get too much. But that guy's mentioned every, like, 3 seconds because that's how much of a absolute goat he is. But yeah, she didn't end up becoming, like, my favorite Crisis Hair or anything, but she's definitely up there. Like, I really don't hate any single Crisis Hair. My least favorite, but like Crisis Hair, ties between mainly just Cypher and Hyacine. But I still really like them. Like, just because they're my least favorite Crisis Hair doesn't mean I don't like them. I really like them. The only one I really don't like is just Saridra. Everyone from those and above, I like all of them. So, ended up liking her enough to where I would pull, but it was really just the fact that she was dot, which was holding me back. But eventually, I saw my friend pull her. I talked to him a bit. I said, you know what? My luck has been horrible. I'm going to pull up the Summon Simulator. If I pull her and win the 50-50, I'll use my 50-50. Lo and behold, I won the Summon Simulator 50-50 after going on a simulator and losing maybe like 20 times in a row. And I said, okay, fine. Rip my pity. Lo and behold, I finally won. What feels like I've been in just complete agony ever since July started. Like, every gacha game I've played has absolutely blasted me. And it was actually really killing my morale on even, like, spending on the game. But, this time, Hysilens was like, here, I got you. And I was like, wow, okay, I actually won. I have these 2 multis. I'm just going to rip him on the Lycone. Let's see what happens. I pulled the Lycone at 20 pity. And I was like, what? And I was actually freaking out. And then I used my leftover summons. I think I bought a pack at some point during this. I used my leftover summons. And I pulled a Himiko really early in the pity. So then I was guaranteed. And that was also my E6 Himiko, by the way. So I finally have E6 Himiko. She's still not getting built, though. Lamau. But yeah, my luck just ended up actually being, like, really good there. And I was like, okay, well, W. I had nothing ready. Everything I got for her was just in that day. After, like, the hour I farmed for her, I used whatever fuels I had, whatever things I could do. I was like, man, now I gotta rebuild my dot team. Thankfully, I already had an Eagle set for Kafka. I just need to get an attack Lushaka orb with speed on it. And I have Hysilens Icon, so that speed buff is going to be really good. I can probably reach the 167 speed ratio to get 3 turns. Actually, not even probably, I can. And then if I do sustain this with E1 Ruan Mei, I can get the speed thresholds. If I run Huofu, my Huofu is E1, so I can get even more speed, hit the same thresholds. So I have a team set up. The thing is, I just don't have relics. So if I want to use a team, Black Swan is like just on a rainbow set with 2p speed. Just because I really have no prisoner sets. I managed to get Hysilens a set. I did get her an attack orb, unfortunately, because I could not get a physical one to drop. So I'm definitely working on trying to get a physical orb. She actually has a really good build with attack percent boots as well, having over 141 speed. In battle, that can translate up to, above 160 speed as well. So my build on her is going really, really well. Black Swan, eventually she'll get it. My Black Swan got a really good pair of boots while I was farming for speed, but that's about it. And then I still need to get a physical orb for her. I need to get a full revelry set for Black Swan. And then I also got to get that attack orb for Lushaka on Kafka. And yeah, just using the team more. I guess I didn't really think about it too much when I was testing, but I ended up having more fun with the team I thought. It's definitely nowhere near my favorite team. It's not even close. But it ended up being more fun. I can zero cycle with it once I get a set for Black Swan. And I also don't have their traces up. Everyone's traces are level 6. And I think Kafka and Black Swan are both missing 2 parts of their traces. So, once I get all that up, I'm definitely going to be absolutely rolling through content with the dot team when I do. And now I have a brand new team I can just mess around with if I ever don't want to use a different one. But yeah, it's a lot more fun now with Hysilens, and especially with the Kafka, proc thing. You don't have to wait 300 business days for the actual dots to proc on an enemy's turn anymore. And the fact that Hysilens does inflict every dodge, you're getting to see all these numbers and stuff that are different colors and stuff. That makes it a lot more fun as well. It was really boring when you waited 30 business years and all you saw was Shock and Windshear and then I guess the Arcana thing, but that was it. Now with Hysilens, it is a lot more fun. We could thank Hysilens for that, and I am such a crackhead. If you guys have looked at my community posts, I am such a crackhead. I've been using her with other teams. I paired her with Anaxa just because of certain synergy. I will literally make anything work. That kind of just is the crackhead I am. I made her work with Anaxa just by giving her something like Cypher Light Cone, giving her speed boots, getting the full effect, because she also does reduce enemies' defense and make them take more damage. With Cypher's Light Cone, reduce their defense even more. I ran her with Mide, I ran her with Hyper Carry, Aventurine, I've zero cycled with all of them against the Silver Rock side. I've done so much. I will literally do anything to get her to work because that's how much I like Hysilens. Her design got me feeling different ways. I really like her character, but I just have to get her. I'm going to show you this just to show you how much of a crackhead I am. When I tell you guys I'm a crackhead, you guys can see right here, I am a crackhead. I am actually just a crackhead. Yeah, so I ended up doing that as well. And by the way, you guys are the only ones, if you are watching right now, you guys are the only ones that know that. I haven't told any of my friends either. They don't know I have an E2 Hysilens. Why did you get the dupes, you may ask? Just because, again, I was messing around with this stuff and I found actual setups that do good, and the E1 made it that much stronger. Because her on the Anaxa team, she's actually doing damage. The dot procs are doing 200k, her ultimate is doing 500k, her skills are doing 200k. And now with the E2, she's actually buffing everyone's damage down as well. I'm creating these synergies by being an absolute crackhead. I will do anything to make a unit I like work. That's how much of a crackhead I am. So yeah, my first impressions, I think Hysilens is fantastic. She's insane for dot enjoyers. And if you're a dot hater like me, maybe if you do have the team and you're somewhat in a situation like me, Hysilens maybe make you like it as well. Again, I don't dislike it anymore. I think it's, pretty fun. It's not my favorite team again. It's not going to ever be my favorite team ever. But it's one I'm not going to go out my way to avoid now. But it's mainly just because of Hysilens. That's how much I like this character. I've made her work on all these things, and she's just such a fun character to mess around with all the dot procs you can get. And with Anaxa specifically, Anaxa attacks so many times. So you literally can stack a bunch of dot stacks onto the enemy just because Anaxa attacks that many times. So yeah, with the funny setups, I figured out that I didn't even know when I was testing. I only figured these setups out after I got her on my actual account. And then on the actual dot team, I'm very satisfied. She's a very strong unit, whether you are running dot or if you're at a point where you can mess around like I have. She's also really fun there. I'm going to use her on a lot of my teams going forward, so expect some very cursed background footage at times going forward. But that does wrap it up, my first impressions, taking you over the lore of this character for me and the fact that I've never been so down bad before. I get the pass, right guys? Come on, I've never been this down bad for a character. This is my second time ever. People put their whole accounts through that kind of thing where they're like, oh, I'm just playing when the character's hot. Let me have my one moment, man. Anyway, if you guys also are enjoying Hysilens, definitely let me know. She is going to be probably one of the more skipped characters because a lot of people don't really care about dot too much anymore, but anyone that did care about dot back then will definitely pick her up now. But especially with Evernight and the new Dawnhang and whatever coming after, like Serene, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be skipping this update entirely. Serena is probably also going to net a bit more pulls than Hysilens just because she works with, Phynon is one of the most popular characters right now. But yeah, if you did end up pulling her, let me know if you guys are doing some funny shenanigans. And yeah, peace out.